Okay, this is actually insane. It's kind of pissing me off that we're not saying a damn word about it on mainstream media, but we're about to have a port strike. And I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of shit in the Americas come from uh, China. And this is insane. Why is nobody talking about the port strike? Am I the only one who's concerned about this, or is everyone just really unaware of what's happening? In all fairness, we did have Helene. We did have a chemical explosion in Conyers, Georgia today. I'm in Atlanta, so it's kind of like sensitive for me. It's local. But shit is about to get crazy. The storm is brewing, and we are on the verge of something huge. With the ports going on strike, supply chain could be completely disrupted. And the Teamsters joining the movement, we're looking at a massive shutdown that could affect industries across the country. Shipping delays, shortages, and price hikes are just the beginning. Time to brace yourselves for what's coming. No, this is actually legitimately this is terrifying. If you guys need to understand that when we have ships that are bringing our goods over here and the ports now are taking strikes and nobody can get those goods across the country, we're going to see this slow trickle effect that will turn into a giant snowball, something that is very uncontrollable to the economy. First off, we'll just say the automotive industry, cars can't get from the ports to the dealerships. The restaurant industry, yes, you'd be surprised that America has a lot of agricultural, but you'd be really shocked to know that most of the agricultural gets exported out of the country and we import more than we actually grow in here, which is insane. Same thing with gasoline. We actually produce gas, but we ship out more, or oil, excuse me, we ship out more of it than we import. We import it for consumable gas. It's actually kind of insane. There's a lot of back-assward stuff that we're doing because we're getting it all at, quote-unquote, at a lower cost. It's cheaper for these large corporations to buy it over there and ship it across than it is just to do it over here in our states. And we're about to see the byproduct of all of this. Okay, hold on. Let's see. What is this guy talking about?
What happens if our seaports go on strike? The strike is set for
Beautiful.
October 1st, so you better share this with everyone.
Oh, tomorrow.
Because if our ports close, everything we depend on closes with it. Let's talk about what would happen within the month of October. On day one, international fuel shipments are the first to feel the impact. Crude oil tankers stuck offshore means no new fuel entering refineries. By the end of the day, concerns spread across industries as gas stations, trucking companies, and airlines brace for immediate shortages. Everything from fuel to imported goods is at risk, but fuel becomes the most critical loss. By day 3, gas stations are starting to run dry and rationing begins. Prices surge as demand skyrockets. Without fuel, trucks can't deliver goods, and the first shortages show up in grocery stores. Businesses relying on imported oil, like refineries, scramble to maintain operations with whatever reserves they have left. The ripple effect starts to hit home. No fuel means no transportation.
Yep.
And without transportation, the flow of goods stops. Day 7, the energy crisis takes hold. Within the first week, the impact of fuel shortage deepens. Trucks, trains, and ships that move essential supplies across the country slow to a halt. Agriculture and manufacturing are crippled, unable to operate without fuel for machinery and transportation. Airlines begin canceling flights, and public transportation services are cut. Gas prices hit all-time highs as panic buying intensifies. By week 2, the power grid struggles and collapse looms. Power plants that rely on imported fuel start to struggle and blackouts spread as they ration what's left. People begin hoarding fuel, and chaos erupts at the pumps. The stock market plummets as industries reliant on global supply chains begin to crumble. The economy falters, and unemployment skyrockets as factories close and businesses shutter. By week 4, total breakdown of society. By the end of the month, the energy crisis and fuel shortages bring society to its knees. Cities erupt into fuel riots, and law enforcement is overwhelmed. With no fuel, food distribution collapses, and starvation becomes a real threat. Communities are left to fend for themselves as fuel reserves dry up completely, leaving transportation, emergency services, and the economy in ruins. Without ports, crude oil can't get in. Without crude oil, fuel can't be made. Without fuel, everything grinds to a halt. When the fuel stops, America stops. And just so we're clear, this could all happen within the month of October.
It's so crazy just because this literally, with our goofy-ass politicians in office right now and everything that's going on, this literally could be the fall of the Roman Empire or the fall of the American Empire. And I don't want to be, I hate being so, like, doom and gloom and all of this, but man, it's scary. I had this guy up here earlier. This guy says this with a little bit more less inflammatory. I think that last guy is kind of like doom and gloom, and I'm kind of like worried. I'm like, shit, with day 1, day 2, week 1, week 4. By the week 4, America's gone, and it's whew. What do you have to say?
Let me explain something to you. These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's gonna happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are gonna go to work on that pier? It's gonna cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're gonna be like this. Who's gonna win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. In today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I was hoping for a little less doom and gloom, but America could be crippled by the end of October. And that may sound like a crazy statement. What we've seen this past weekend with Helene in North Carolina, you can't tell me that families in Chimney Rock and in Georgia and Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, where families spent decades, generations on building a business, having a family-owned business and a house, and they had kids, and those kids had kids, and you literally grew up a family in this area, and one bad storm blew it all away. Like it's a big bad wolf just blow the house down. A hurricane came in through and blew a whole county down, a whole city down. You're telling me if these ports don't shut down from Maine to Texas, that America can't fall and crumple? I mean, I'm wearing a Roman shirt now. This could be foreshadowing. This is terrifying.